under hood area of a 1976 Dodge Charger Daytona. Really rare car. They came out with it as a special edition car. Just a really neat piece of equipment for that era. This thing got the big hammer in it. It's got a 360 in it, a Smog 360, power steering, power disc brakes, factory air conditioning, more hoses than I've ever seen in an engine compartment in my entire life. A lot of vacuum lines, a lot of emission control items. It does have a speed control unit there. It has a correct fan shroud. This is a real deal car, low mileage vehicle, and it presents itself as such. The engine is just as clean and crisp as you'd want to find. Chrysler blue, the way it should be for 76. No leaks whatsoever on the valve pans that I can see. Appears to have the stock intake manifold on it, cast iron, I believe. And I can't even see the carburetor, but I'm sure there's one under there. It does have a clutch panel on the front of it, the correct overflow bottle, correct washer bottle also for it. Radiator core support or any other part of this car is totally undisrupted, just as nice and clean as you'd ever want to have. Dual horns on this side, nice, clean, fresh looking, original condenser for the air conditioning, your dryer. Inner fender panels, semi-flat black. Jeff has a little pro shine on them right now, but they are flat black the way they should be, and original paint on pretty much everything that I can see. The screens on the cowl area are still intact, the plastic pieces, and not broken up or distressed in any way. Well, everything's hooked up. The air conditioning for the passenger compartment and the heat also for the passenger compartment. This thing is totally undisrupted. Double fan belts to power the alternator, which is a huge alternator, by the way, and the air conditioning unit, the double piston air conditioning. Two-stage master cylinder on it. The brake booster appears to be original, but really in good condition. Does have a set of aftermarket high silicon plug wires on it. It has a pressure light distributor in it with the correct tan cap that it came with. There is absolutely nothing in this engine compartment that is leaking or out of place or different than it was in 1976 when this guy was released by Dodge. It's a fantastic piece of history. It's really the end of an era. Muscle car at that point in time, which is the big 360 in here. There were no more 440s and 383 Roadrunners and all that. That era was gone. 454 Chevelles, gone. This was the big hammer in the middle 70s to the late 70s. This is as big a hammer as you could get. Real nice under hood also, by the way. Original rubber seal that goes on the core support to keep most of the air going through the radiator. I don't see anything in this engine compartment that isn't as it was in 1976 when this car was produced by Dodge. Let's go over the rest of it. Here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida, and today we got a really neat toy. Definitely the end of the era of muscle cars, but this is what they tried to give us back in the middle 70s to compensate for what wasn't there any longer. No more Roadrunners, no more LS6 Chevelles, no more Hemi cars, no more six-pack cars, nothing. This is the big hammer of the day, for Dodge anyway. 1976 Charger Daytona, a special edition car. And it is an original car, an actual mild car, and we have paperwork for the car. It's really, really neat, and it's also very inexpensive to get into the show car, muscle car era. So let's go over it and see what we can show you. The paint, from what I can see on this car, is original. The car, from what we can see, has never been bumped or distressed in any way. Everything is originality here, except for the wheels, and we'll explain that to you in a second. The gap on the hood, entire length of this thing, from the fender, clean up to the windshield base, across the front, 1/8 of an inch. Perfect fitment. Look at this. This is really, really nice. They apparently started getting a lot better with this through the ages, because that is as nice as you could ever hope to get one. Paint on this car is original, and it is a metallic medium gray. It looks like Porsche Meteor gray, actually. And whenever they painted it, again, this is getting into the way cars were done in that era. There's a little bit of, I don't know how to say it, like fogginess to it. It has a nice finish to it, a little tiny bit of orange peel. But you can see some shadowing here and there, you know, just from the metallic that was being laid on at the time. But the fitment itself is just as sweet as you'd ever want to find. Chrome on the turn signal indicators, which are part of the light package, just as nice and clean as you'd ever hope to find. Fiberglass panel in the front. This entire front fascia area is fiberglass. Fiberglass, tin. Same thing with this side, the turn signal indicator. Chrome on the headlight surrounds, the headlight buckets, just as fresh as it was when it was installed new. Same thing with the chrome around the grille area. No patina, just as nice as can be. Let's see here. These are actually your parking lights. Very nice crystal clear lenses with amber bulbs in them. Gives it a really nice look. Same with this over here. The chrome is absolutely flawless on it. Plastic grille. There's no pieces chipped up on it or marked up on it in any way. Just as nice as you'd ever hope to find any vehicle. Chrome on the front bumper. Not marked up. Scuffed up. Bumper fitment is just as nice as you'd ever hope to find. Chrome on the very front of the bumper. There's no stone chips or marks or anything from being tapped into through the years. Also, the grill section down below here has a lot of depth to the car. It really looks good. Really looks fantastic. Dodge nomenclature in the front here. The front end of this car and the fitment is just as nice as you would ever hope to find on any well-done muscle car. This is a very inexpensive car. It is an original car. And the fitment of this car is just exemplary. It really is. It's a very, very nice car. I wish we could get every one of our muscle cars to fit together the way this guy does. Let's go down the side of it and see what we can find for you there. Okay, start in the front, driver's side. A little tiny chip of the, I don't know how it happened again, you know, through the years, of this double pinstripe here. It's red and silver, two-color pinstripe that goes around it to separate the silver from the charcoal. Little tiny chip there. Anyway, fitment of the front fender to this front fascia is nice as can be. Chrome around the side marker lamp in the front, just as nice as you'd ever hope. Little vinyl insert on the anodized aluminum trim. And again, you can see this double colored tape stripe going around. And that's factory also. That's not put on by someone through the years. That is factory. Again, the vinyl treatment that goes down the side of the vehicle in that inset. Look at this. Wow. Check this out. Is that about nice or what? God. Charger Daytona. Special edition vehicle. Anodized aluminum around the front. This isn't stainless at this point. This is anodized aluminum, but just as nice and fresh as you'd ever hope to find. This is, now that's anodized aluminum too. I was going to say it's stainless, but it's anodized aluminum also, I believe. Wiper arms and blades are the correct argent colored wiper arms and blades that belong on this car. VIN tag, just as nice as you'd ever hope to find. Nice and clear transition where the dashboard goes on to the base of the windshield, just like the day it was produced. Top of the dash and your speaker enclosures, one on each side, just as fresh as you'd ever hope to find. There's no warpage whatsoever to it or no cracks. We'll look at it from the inside, but from what I can see out here, there's absolutely nothing. Tinted windshield with the sunshade fade on top. No marks on the windshield. There's no wipes from the wipers through the years. Just as nice as you'd ever hope to find. Again, it has air conditioning, so the glass is tinted in its entirety. It's a good-looking car, really good-looking car. The roof, well, the roof is a roof. Yeah, you have to find anything really bad on that. Drip rail. Actually, it's not a drip rail. It's a piece of trim. There is no gutter with this car. Different design area there. But at any rate, a little bit of a dip right here that I can see. I don't know what it's from, somebody leaning up against it or something through the years. Certainly nothing that you'd address in any fashion. Dual color keyed mirrors with, again, our silver and orangish red striping. Anodized aluminum across the top that continues around the base of the hood back by the windshield and goes back. There's what they did. They went the whole way around the window with it to give it a lot of pop, a lot of pizzazz. Same thing with the trim around this window, which is also tinted. Chrome on the door handles is absolutely spotless. Paint on the side of this car, no door dents, no chips, no nothing. Our vinyl inset here. Wow. This car is really nice. The fitment is really nice on this car. Trim around the back, light the same as it was on the front. Has a set of Jensen aftermarket speakers in the hat rack area. Again, our double colored trim here, separating the silver from our Porsche Meteor Gray here. Trim around the rear wheel well. Wow, that's a nice side of the car. The way the quarter fits onto the, this is plastic again, back here, fiberglass, tin. This tin, there's undercoating on it, you can feel, but there's no mud, there's no Bondo whatsoever in this car. Real low mile, unmolested car here. Beautiful side. There are no door dents, no chips, other than that little mark I found in the pinstriping itself, which you wouldn't even begin to address. The side of this car is just as nice as you'd ever hope to find on any real high-dollar muscle car. The wheels are not the correct wheels, but they are a 5-spoke, really nice-looking set of wheels in this car. Fantastic looking set with a set of Cooper Cobra GTs on it, white leather, all like new. But we do have the original set of turbine type wheels that are charcoal gray and silver in the trunk with this car. They go with the vehicle, the original wheels that were released with this car. I'd leave those on it, but you do have the original wheels if you want originality for this guy. Fantastic driver's side. Let's go out back, see if we can show you something there. Okay, tail section of our Charger Daytona, 1976. Again, you can see a little bit of just the way the paint was put on through the years back then. Certainly it's a little different in today's world, but this is, from what we can see, the original finish on this car. Really nice. There's no chips, no marks, no deviations. You can see the fitment of the deck lid is just like the hood, just as sweet as you'd ever want to find. Again, the two-tone treatment that they have here, Chrysler Pentastar on the side here, Charger Daytona, or actually in this case in red the same way it should be with the striping. Wow. This is the original chrome and original taillights in this vehicle. There is no patina evident whatsoever in this vehicle. That side or this side. And the lenses themselves are still shiny, clean, just as they should be. Taillights are beautiful in this car, absolutely stunning. Backup lights, crystal clear in the bumper. They're inset into the bumper. Chrome on the back bumper is absolutely no patina whatsoever. Of course, we got our definite 1976 unleaded fuel only sticker on it. Correct style chrome exhaust tips out the back. Back end of the bumper, there are no marks or dents from people backing into it or bumping it through the years. This car was really loved, really taken care of. You can see just by going over it, it's a car that we wish we could have, you know, late 60s muscle cars in this condition, to get them in this condition, but pretty tough. Okay, one more side, and then I think we're done with the outside presentation. Okay, starting at the back. I forgot to mention, it does have a marker light in the front. It does not have one in the back, simply because the taillight assemblies curve around to the side of the vehicle, so that's why there's no side marker in the back. In essence, there is. It's part of the taillight. Again, and there's no marks in this vinyl too, by the way, that's inset into the anodized aluminum trim. There are absolutely no marks whatsoever in it. Little dingy here from somebody opening the door. Hardly, you're not going to notice it, but I'm just telling you, there is a little tiny one there from a door being thrown open on it. At your local Walmart, I'm sure. Trim on this side, the same as the other side, and the backlight, which, by the way, this does have a rear defroster in it. Something that we don't see too often in muscle cars, but this thing does have a rear window defroster in it, which it is a tinted window also. And the reason you don't hear it snapping is because this car, just feeling it, it's been undercoated when it was new at the factory, and it still retains that sound deadener undercoating that Chrysler put on. I can feel it, and we'll show you that once we're up on the rack. I'm sure we'll be able to take a look at it and show it to you there. Trim around the back window, same as the other side. Nice as you'd ever want to find, our vinyl trim. Again, the door fitment, really nice on this vehicle. Little mark in the, I don't know what happened here. It's a little tiny mark in the, that silver red pinstriping that they use to separate the two colors here. We're not going to mess with it, we're going to leave it alone, but there's a little tiny bit of a chip out of the one edge there. Trim around this passenger door window, the same as the other side, no marks whatsoever in it, absolutely none. Our passenger mirror, chrome on the door handle, same as the other side. This car is a very nice car. Charger Daytona, again, designation. Single mast antenna, the correct base on it. Look at the fit here. Can you believe this? Look. Why can't we get every Roadrunner and GTX to fit like this? Back in the late 60s. Trim around the front wheel. Our vinyl strip. All the trim pieces. There is a stone chip right here. There's a stone chip on the silver part, about the size of the end of a pencil eraser. We're going to have to brush touch that. The end of trim around the bezel around the front side marker light, just as clean as you'd ever want to find. And we're back where we started again. Really nice car. This thing is as nice a vehicle as you could ever hope to find. From what I can see, you know, mostly original. I don't know, it may have been touched up here or there, but you really can't tell. There's no difference in color or fade or anything to it. The original pinstriping is still intact everywhere on the car. One little chip in that mark there, one little stone chip here. Other than that, I didn't find a scratch or a mark or a stone chip anywhere on this vehicle. You know what? Hold on a second. Nah, it's a smudge. It's a smudge. I was gonna, oh, there's a dinghy right here. There is a stone chip somewhere through the years. Stone bounced up and went kerboing, and you got one right there. Other than that, that's about it. This car is really a nice car. It's a 1976 Special Edition Dodge Charger Daytona. And it's got a 360 in it, which was considered a really big hammer in that point in time. It's got a great color combination to it, a two-tone charcoal and silver. It's got nice side marking on it, the trim that goes down the side with the vinyl inset that sticks out about, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch, maybe half an inch protrusion on it. So if the door does come open, that's probably what takes the brunt of it. Nice set of wheels and tires on Cooper Cobras. They're a 5-spoke. The chrome-plated alloy wheel with a chrome rim. Really nice set of wheels on this vehicle, and the original ones are in the trunk, which actually are very attractive. Devin's going to show you pictures of them. They're kind of a turbine spoked wheel, but they really have a nice look to them with the same color combination that the car has on it. You'll see them in the still photos that he takes. We do have all the paperwork, all the documentation with this car also. It's a low-mile car. It's very nominally priced. It's a car that you can take and have a lot of fun with. You have a lot of modern amenities with this car that you don't have with a lot of muscle cars. You've got a rear defroster, you have air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, cruise control. It's a nice middle 70s muscle car. I mean, this is what the muscle cars were in the middle 70s, and not too many companies produced anything that was much hotter than this in 76. It's available here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's a car that if you really want to take a look at an inexpensive way of getting into the hobby cars, this is your guy, because this is going to be less than $20,000. It's an actual mile car from what I can tell. It just is a car that's been never subjected to any trauma, any troubles. Mechanically, it's as sound as you could ever hope to find one. I drove this car for about, I don't know, 3 days, like I try to do most of these vehicles, and honestly I couldn't find anything wrong with it other than the air needed a shot of Freon, and that's it. The shifts were nice and firm and clean. Everything on it was nice, which you're going to see on our drive video anyway. And it's just a nice straight car. If you can run down and take a look at it, come take a look at it. And if you can't, that's why Devin and I are doing these videos for you, to present the car to you as best we can and as complete a presentation as we can, so that you know exactly what you're buying here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach. Okay, this is the interior of our Charger Daytona, 1976. Sun visors still nice and taut, no stitching coming loose, nice originality to them. A hard type, I don't know, it's a padded type fibrous material for the headliner. It's a one solid piece headliner in it, kind of a neat setup, which by the way does not have a dome light in it, but you do have access lights in the bottom of each door that really are bright, and also in both side panels in the back right below the rear windows in this vehicle, just as bright as you'd ever want to find. This interior is really comfortable. I mean, anybody that can't get comfortable in here, there's something wrong. It's a real nice fluffy velour interior, red obviously. Center armrest that flops down, or you can put it up and put 3 people across the front, 3 across in the back if you want, so you can haul 6 people. Steering wheel has no pieces missing out of it. It's a resilient type of a rubber material, 3 spokes, split spokes on it, the way it should be, a horn that blows. AM FM radio, all the dash appointments are just as clean as you'd ever want to find. All this chrome is like the day it was new, even the little tiny bezels around your instrumentation. All your instruments. You have a quadrant of instruments telling you what's going on, and a speedometer. There's no tack in here. Nobody cares about that at that point. Air conditioning, all the controls are nice and fresh looking yet. Cruise control. There's one for you, cruise control. The dash pad is still the original pad. There are absolutely no marks, no deviations whatsoever, and it looks actually better looking at it in here than it actually did looking through the window, the front windshield. A lot of lumber on the side of this car, real nice looking wood grain on the dash itself, the enclosure, and the dash on that side, plus both door panels on the front, and these lights are so bright I can't see. I can't tell if there's any in the rear or not. I don't think there is. Trash trays in the rear with integral armrests built into the enclosures where those lights are. Really a nice setup. If there are trash trays in the rear, you got a trash tray up front here that, wow, that baby's never been smoked in. No 3 alarmers in this one. Just absolutely brand new. Glove compartment, the light comes on, and guess what? All your original owner's manuals with the car yet. How about that? Nice clean glove box area. Doors, when you look inside the front part of the doors in the jambs, just like it was in 1976 when this car was released. There's absolutely no dirt whatsoever. The rubbers are still all resilient as can be. The sill panels are the original ones, and they don't even need touch. They're that nice, both sill panels. This is cut pile carpeting. It's a lot fluffier. Instead of loop pile, this is cut pile. It has a lot more depth to it, a fuzzy look to it. The brake pedal, gas pedal, parking brake, everything is nice, shows absolutely no wear whatsoever. I think this car shows, if I remember, yeah, 34.5 on the clock. And I believe it. This car is this is a real car. This thing is something that hasn't been redone, nor that it needs to be addressed in any way. Everything in this car is really nice. It has all kind of different amenities that, oh, check that out. Ha! We got a reclining seat in it. I see absolutely nothing. This is as nice a vehicle as you could ever hope to buy. The back of the seat doesn't have any sun fade to it on top where it goes up toward the hatch shelf. There are seat belts in the front. Actually, there's a shoulder belt system that's in the front here. But I don't see any in the rear. They're probably tucked into the back of the seat. I don't really know. We'll have to get Donnie or Jeff to get back here and take a look to see if they pop back out. You know what? They are back here. I see them. There's seat belts in the back. I see something in the corner there, so there have to be belts back here. All your air conditioning vents are nice and clean. It has a digital clock here. How about that? It even has a clock inset into the dash. An auxiliary aftermarket, that's why we have 2 auxiliary speakers in the back. It has a cassette player hanging underneath the dash here, which would not be original equipment. I don't even know if they make cassettes anymore, but if they don't, you could always take it out or leave it in. It has originality. That's what there was in 1976. Great car. There's not a single thing that I can tell you negative about it. Your armrests in the front are the original ones. They're not worn out whatsoever. All the carpeting is nice and fresh and clean. Door panels don't have any distress whatsoever to them. It's a nice car. It's a really inexpensive, nice car. Got to take a look at it. It's here at Hankster's, Daytona Beach. Well, this is our 76 Charger Daytona. Really neat car. Crushed velour interior, huh? Is that sweet or what? Really a neat interior. Really a nice car. Very, very well done. Let's see here. Horn that works just like it should. Turn signal left. Right there in the center of the enclosure. Turn signal left. Now we got turn signal right. Okay. Then we got wipers. Just beating themselves to death out there. Okay, let's see, radio. Let's see if that radio.
Is this Friday?
Oh, you're kidding me.
Zip code to
A radio that works.
How do you want to feel
Holy
today?
Holy crap, and it sounds good too.
Choose your mood with
Amazing. All right. Outside adjustable mirror works just the way it should. Speedometer, I'm sure it's going to work. I know because I drove it for a while. Temperature just beginning to come up on the gauge. About a little under, I don't know, about 1/8 of a tank of fuel. Then we have a oil pressure gauge and a amp gauge. Everything working as it should. Even a radio. Do you believe that? That's totally amazing. All right, let's go for a ride. I know it runs well because I drove it for a while. Speedometer is working just like it should. It's not jumping around or anything. I mean, temperature's coming up, running nice and cool. Yeah, just the way it is supposed to. There's no hands on the steering wheel. We're going down the road. Oh, gotta aim it right. Going down the road just as straight as you'd want to go. Let's try it. Brakes, no hands. Stop straight as can be. Oh, the guy behind me is a little upset. It's a real nice tone to it. It's not objectionably loud. This interior is really quiet. I'm not used to something that's quiet and smooth. Usually everything we have I get to drive makes all kinds of noise and get you all excited. This is more of a gentleman's sports car here. This thing's nice and comfy, really comfy with these velour seats. Nice and smooth, and quiet inside. Has a nice little deep thunder to it to the exhaust. Everything in it works just like it should. Tell you what, this thing's no slouch. I gotta watch, there's a lot of traffic up today, but it ran up to 60-some mile an hour real quick without really horsing it hard. So this little 360 pulls pretty well. It's pretty impressive. I didn't expect this thing. It's the first time I really got on this car a little bit hard. It's impressive. Let's check I don't know if the cruise will work or not, but let's check it just to see. You're kidding me. Look, no feet. Cruise is working. Cruise control even works on this car. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Neat car. Well, this is the undercarriage of our 1976 Charger Daytona. Kind of a real special car. This thing is original. No one has messed with anything on it. Exhaust-wise, engine-wise, the motor's never been out. It doesn't need to be. There's 34,000 miles on it. I can't see any bolts that have been turned on it. It really is a nice looking car. Heavy-duty sway bar in the front. Apparently they put that on with the Charger Daytona package. Disc brakes in the front. Huge calipers on these guys. Everything on this car, there's no leaks whatsoever on the engine. Absolutely none. Zero. Or the transmission or the bell housing area. You can see everything is clean and clear to be. Original cooling lines from the transmission have never even been taken loose through the years. Everything is clean as it should be. Tie rod ends, steering joints, everything all original, didn't need replaced. Deflector pan in the front here. There's no jack marks whatsoever on the subframes or the fender drop downs or the torque boxes in the front. There's absolutely none. Again, there's no marks at all on the subframes. Transitional piece that goes from one subframe to the other, no marks on it at all either. And through that is the bracing that holds the torsion bars, and there's no marks on it. No leaks around the speedometer cable, no leaks on the tail shaft. The exhaust is the correct style Y pipe that goes into that's about a 2¼ inch pipe here. That splits into a dual exhaust system at this point. I'm going to guess that at some point between here and here there was probably a catalytic converter that obviously has been removed through the years. I'm going to guess, I don't even remember, but I think 70s they did have catalytic converters, I think. Parking brakes still original and intact, and if you look, the floor pans on this thing, the subframes, the floor pans, the entire undersubstructure of this car is absolutely as it was when it was new. The car appears to have been rust-proofed at some point whenever the car was new, because there's no dirt or anything underneath any of the undercoating on this vehicle. Original fuel lines, of course, I have no idea. There's two of them going up. One of them would be for the vent canister for it. Original wire-wound brake lines going toward the rear. The under chassis mufflers that would have been here have been replaced by two glass packs that have a nice sound to it. It just gives it a real nice deep rumble. Subframes in the back are the same as they were in the front. Absolutely flawless. There's no marks whatsoever on this undercarriage. Absolutely none. I don't think it's ever been jacked up or jack stands through the years. It's probably driven onto a rack similar to this, oil changed in it, serviced, and away it went. Torque boxes in the front for your front leaf spring setup, just as they were when they were new. A huge sway bar on the back of this thing. Wow, that's a really neat sway bar system. But it does have a heavy-duty sway bar in the back with sway bar links. A nice curvature to the springs in the back also. The leaf springs have a real nice curvature to them. Subframes where they transition up over the differential. Again, just as new as you'd ever hope to find. The trunk area the same way. This is all original underneath here. There's not one part of this vehicle that's been disrupted or repaired through the years. Drop downs into quarter panels, still original. Everything just the way it should be. Your structural piece that goes across the back from one subframe to the other. Again, as nice as you'd ever want to find. Drum brakes in the back. They're ventilated also. They have fin drums in the back. Someone has added a set of air shocks in the back of this guy. Give you a little bit of latitude to adjust the ride height in the back, and maybe a little bit of a rake, give it a little sexier look to it. And it has the it is a heavy duty system. It is a 10-bolt rear end, a Spicer type, which we just had a couple years ago had a difference of opinion on that. It wasn't it was a light duty rear end. Well, it's not a light duty rear end. They used it for this, and years prior to this, starting in I believe '72, they used it in the 400, the 383, the 400. 440s use this. It's the same rear end that was used through those years, and it's certainly heavy duty enough for a 360. The undercarriage of this car is just exemplary. There's everything original on this floor pan wise. There's not a dent, a ding, a deviation in it, or any scrapes, or any leaks in the entire drive line that you can see. It's a real 34,000 mile car, there's no doubt in my mind. It's just a really great, inexpensive way to get into the hobby car market. And it's a car that you can take to any show that you want and park it by any of the muscle cars of that era in the middle, late 60s, and garner just as much attention. It's a very rare piece of equipment, nice fat round of rubber on it. And we do have the original wheels also in the trunk to go with this car. It's a great looking car. Gas tank is the original gas tank. Like everything else under this car, it's been totally undisrupted. There are no dents at all in this tank, absolutely none. And again, everything has been rust proof when it was new yet. You can see that. And all we did was pressure clean everything underneath it, and there it is. Hanksters and Daytona Beach. This is a neat car for a little bit of money.